And that awareness helps you make the choice consciously instead of being pushed into a choice by whoever or whatever you're paying attention to.
It is for me. I can easily get caught up in doom scrolling because I'm a research analyst and I want to know. I want to know things. I want to know what's going on in the world. I want to see how both political sides, religious sides, all these people, what they're putting out there to say the other side did wrong, to deflect from what they're doing wrong. So I'm very susceptible to this doom scrolling addiction. I had that come up this week. I thought, why am I upset today? Well, look at all this crap you've been looking at, Zoli. Do you want to stop looking at it? No, but I need to do other creative things. I had done the thing that I speak of every now and then about getting too much inner information and not putting out enough. If you meditate and pray all the time and you do nothing in the outside world, you're going to go batshit crazy at some point. And if you're always doing in the outside world, you have a very thinly veiled inner world. It's going to be disconcerting also, but we fight with this all the time. We're just people. So I had to say, pick up a new art pad, do some artwork. So I'm getting it out. And certainly with the podcast, the radio shows, I get out ways. I want to help other people understand why they do what they do, how they do. But I've got to do it myself first.
That's very true. And so we always try to skip that part of doing it ourselves first and tell everybody else how they ought to be doing things.
Well, that psychological projection is just part of human nature. Sometimes we want to see what it looks like on somebody else because we're not ready to deal with it yet. Then when somebody calls us on it, it's on. We do this in marriage all the time. All the time.
That's so true. That's where we probably do it the most because we're with each other so often and it's so much easier to see what the other person's doing wrong all the time and how it's inconveniencing us.
Well, you do because your marriage, if you choose to marry, you are in the most vulnerable relationship there is. And I'll say very quickly, if you are in a sexual relationship with a partner, that is the purpose of joining you as one person on the astral realm. You are one energy field. How threatening is that? And then when a divorce or separation happens, that's the pain. You're having to rip yourself out of that relationship. Everything is energy, everything. But to have the security and the love and the compassion of a vulnerable relationship and to go back and forth with vulnerability and projection, it's just human nature. I don't think it's ever going to change. I'm not sure it ever has. I don't know. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I think it's interesting in relationships of all types that we've come to a place in the world where sex has been commercialized, and we talk about commercialization a lot on this and on the podcast, but it's also become very normalized in not bringing up how the soul ties. And what you said about the pain that people have in breakups, I think by one night stands and free love and all the ideas of sex being something you can give people, you're forgetting that there's a soul tie and an astral connection there too that complicates things.
Yeah, it's quite complex, and I can't answer for anybody's own personal value system. But I think as we age, it becomes less and less important. The hormones change. You can participate or not, it's up to you. But that passion and that panic is not there to connect with somebody else so strongly that you're going to have somebody watching your back.
Yeah, exactly. And you miss that connection of true partnership that carries through, whether the intimacy, no matter what level you're on.
It's interesting how we each respond and react to it. I was looking for somebody to help me do some work around here. And the gal said immediately, I said, "Are you in a relationship?" She says, "Yeah, I've been in it for 15 years, but I will never get married. I'll never do that." I didn't hire that person. That
Interesting.
felt that felt very um, dangerous to me. And not because she had made that choice, but because what I intuited was behind it. You know, I my whole thing is analysis and I want to help people and I love relationships. Well, not everybody does. Not everybody is in life to have a marriage, a good one, a bad one. You're just not. But on the other hand, if we married everybody we had karmic connections to, we'd be married more times than Elizabeth Taylor. This is just how it is. There's a blaming that happens because of society. Because when we divorce, it becomes not safe. You're leaving the tribe and taking the secrets with you.
Hmm. That's an interesting way of putting it.
And on the other hand, many, many times, and I used to be bad about this, I would talk myself out of leaving community or relationships, friendships, whatever with people, even though they were toxic to me. I felt I had to help. It was codependency, helpaholism, but I knew that it was wrong and it hurt me. So I had to grow a backbone and learn to say no. And I had to ghost a lot of people, not this year, this past year and the year before, probably 15 people. And here's an example. I that works for me only when the other person has ignored my value system and pushes their own. They become obnoxious or aggressive. It's a like a survival tool for me. An example was a person in a profession that I knew that I went to who was the very best. Oh my gosh. I used that person for 10 years. They retired and we tried to have a friendship. I couldn't have it with this person. This person was totally different than they were when they were under the auspices of their profession, when they had boundaries that bound them to the profession. I was shocked. What a lesson that was. So I just had to cut him off. I don't feel a need to explain because this person was obnoxious to me and aggressive and saying things about my religion, my politics that were clearly to poke at me. I don't need that. I don't need that at all, and neither do you. So, what do we do if those people are in our family, if they're in our work environment? Well, you got a decision to make.
Do you think it's possible to keep people in arm's length, uh, in a, or do you have to remove yourself from their lives entirely?
Well, the kind of person I am, I can't have them around at all because I'm so sensitive. Here's an example. It's kind of funny. I was in a store yesterday looking for something, and I went down one of the aisles and I stopped cold. There was a man standing there holding a product, and I thought, he's a pedophile. This guy's a predator. The hair on the back of my neck stood up. I trust that. I know that is true. Was there anything to prove it? No. But I know that my intuition, my spider senses never, ever lie to me. Now, the lie comes when I try to talk myself out of it. So I no longer, at the age I am, choose to keep people at arm length unless they are involved with something I'm involved with. And then I'm very, very careful. I'm very formal with people anyway. I choose to be extremely polite because I don't want to hurt people. I don't want them to hurt me. But an example would be in a crowd of people and people are talking and somebody says something awful to me and I can feel that jolt. I will either say, does that usually work if I have to continue the conversation? Or I'll smile and say, excuse me, and I'll just leave. I just leave. I don't do parties, I don't do crowds because I empath on all of this stuff. And there's not a fault, but that's the kind of person I am. Now, other people, look at the Myers Briggs test, the 16 personality types. Some people it doesn't bother at all. Those people are out making the world work. I don't do the world very well. I've said and I joke that Tom is my connection to the outer world and I'm his connection to the inner world. But we're different personality types, and we need to find out who we are and quit making excuses and saying there's something wrong with us because of our personal choices. But sometimes you have to keep people at arm's length. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, and that is going to make you stronger if you have to do it. And it will test you over and over again.
Mm. And so how did you get to the point where you're able to um, trust your own intuition rather than be available to all people?
By not doing it and seeing the consequences of it. You know, the world is filled with, and I love people. The world's filled with boundary violators. It is filled with folks who haven't had the time, the energy, the education, the inner desire to learn who and what they are, and they are controlled by the commercialism of the world, by gossip, by trends, by anything that they are told they are or they are not. They live in that world, and those people to me are very, very dangerous. And Spirit had the wonderful job of infecting my life with dozens of them all of my life until I finally just said, wait a minute. No, I'm going to let myself live empty for a while. I'm going to get all this out of my life and go, wow, this is peace of mind, but it's a little disconcerting because society says you have to have a big group of friends, of social, this and that. I've never had that. So it was more my personality, but comically, when when I was in my 30s, and I was living at the farm and I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have a cell phone or computer till 2010 or 11. The phone would ring and I'd answer it. And of course, it'd be a telemarketer saying, don't you this, do you that? So I thought I'm going to answer the phone all the time and just no matter what they say, I'm going to say no, no, no. So what it did at first, I felt guilty because I was being rude. And I did it over and over again. I don't know how long it took. But now, the minute somebody says, do you want to? I just say no. I might lose an opportunity, but so what? But that is my MO. You know, that is how I am. I have to protect myself. I'm very intuitive. I'm introverted. That's just how I am. I'm empathic. And I have an ability that I've developed to judge situations now because I used to not know if it was good for me or not. I didn't know that part of myself. But for me, think about how you were raised. What sort of society were you raised in? I was raised in the deep South in the 1950s, where there are very strict, stringent rules about how you behaved and what you did. That affected me. So I've had to unlearn behaviors. Ask yourself if you're doing a behavior that makes you feel, as it did me, guilty, afraid of being abandoned, fogging yourself, fear, obligation, and guilt. And those things, you can do it all at the same time. I've done that. I'm fogging myself. I feel afraid that I'm not fulfilling an obligation, then I feel guilty about it. I don't do that anymore. But guess what? It still comes up. It's like riding on a train and you go through all these towns. You don't have to get off the train. The train is your self esteem. Stay on that damn thing, lock the door, but find out who you are because it's the only way to use your intuition.